Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and this is my Week 8 team builder for the PMC Season number 2. We are taking on our good buddy Sharpino and the Sydney Krookodiles. It took me like 4 times to get that intro. I have no idea what's wrong with me today. Let's go ahead and take a peek at his team. He has a Talonflame, Sableye, Krookodile, Uxie, Doublade, Suicune, Dragalge, Celebi, Ormaldo, Swellow, and Aromatisse. I'm just like having all sorts of brain farts today. I can't remember what half of those things were called. But as I was saying, we were facing up against Sharpino. For some reason I thought Kyle was our opponent this week, but I looked at the schedule and we actually don't play him until week 10, which is fine with me. Kyle's got a scary team. I'm not ready to figure out how to deal with it yet. But, you know, the Krookodiles have a very scary squad as well. There are a couple Pokemon that can really do work. Scarf Krookodile is definitely a big threat, something that I have my eye on. If a certain Pokemon go down, then the Swellow can definitely be a big issue. Doublade is also a good defensive answer for a lot of my team. It takes on Sylveon and Tornadus, and in fact it's like his main check for both of those mons. So maybe if we can weaken it with the other, it'll clear the path for that other Pokemon. Like for example, if Torn can get critical damage on it, and then Sylveon can come in and clean up afterwards, that'd be great. Actually, the better situation would be Sylveon breaking through the walls and Torn cleaning up, because Torn's got a bit more speed. But anyway, then, you know, we haven't even talked about something like Swords Dance Talonflame and how tough that is going to be to deal with. Sableye is scary, but I have a couple of decent checks to it. I'm not going to be surprised if he leaves it on the bench this week, just because I have a pretty good matchup against it with Sylveon and Scrafty and Volcarona. And even Torn. Torn is relatively good against non-Calm Mind Sableye, which Sharpino does not seem to like to bring. He likes his utility set with Will-O-Wisp, Recover, I think Knockoff, and Shadow Sneak is his favorite set. Or at least it seems to be the case. But, you know, we're not going to take anything for granted. He could definitely mix it up. He could bring, you know, Calm Mind Uxie, or he could bring Specs Suicune or something like that and throw us off our game. But let's just go ahead and dive into the team. So first off, we do have a Choice Spec Sylveon, Hyper Voice, Hidden Power Rock, Shadow Ball, Baton Pass. This combination of moves hits his whole team. Hyper Voice just wrecks through everything. Hidden Power Rock is for Talonflame, which resists Hyper Voice, and Shadow Ball is for Doublade, which also resists Hyper Voice. But if we're not sure which one's going to be coming in, I think 9 times out of 10 I'm just going to click Baton Pass. I think the moves I'm just going to click this game are going to be Hyper Voice and Baton Pass. We put pretty much just full special attack investment on this thing. Put a little bit of speed EVs in case he wants to speed creep. The nice thing is that Sharpino does have a pretty slow team, other than like Talonflame, Celebi, Swellow, and maybe like a Scarf Krookodile or something. So if he tries to speed creep me by a little bit, we're hopefully going to be able to outspeed them by 1 point. Like if they go up to 81, thinking that they'll outspeed a 0-speed Sylveon, we'll be able to outspeed them by an additional point. So yeah, the hope is that we can bring this thing in all sorts of times. Bring it in on Sableye, bring it in on... what else would be good? Like Ormaldo doesn't appreciate a Hyper Voice. Dragalge, even though it's pretty specially defensive, if we've got it whittled a little bit, it's not going to take a Hyper Voice all that well. That's something I should probably check. Let me calc that real quick, just for fun, just while we're here together, you know. Sylveon versus, let's go with like a Specs Dragalge, because he's brought that before. Yeah, Hyper Voice does 73 to a full HP Dragalge. In the past, he's also brought like Spadef Assault Vest. Or actually, I don't know if it was Spadef, but just for fun, let's do Calm Nature Assault Vest. So that does only 36%. If he's not Calm Nature, if he's still Modest, then we do 50% minimum. So good to know that that's not a switch in, that it's going to get 2 KO'd by Hyper Voice 98.4% of the time. Anyway, let's move on. So next up we have a physically defensive Electros with Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Acid Spray, Giga Drain. This is the main Talonflame answer. Something like Steelix can take it on potentially. It doesn't really appreciate the Flare Blitz, of course. And even more so, it doesn't appreciate the Will-O-Wisp. But Electros should be able to take it on. We are packing Volt Switch and Thunderbolt just because if Talonflame is setting up, I don't want to mess around with that thing and just get off little pieces of chip damage with the Volt Switch. I want to get as much damage off with the Thunderbolt as possible. Acid Spray, just because it's kind of a neat way of weakening the Suicune. And it also hits things like, Aromatisse, and allows us to deal with that a little bit better. And the Giga Drain is for the Krookodile. Krookodile, as I said, is definitely a threat. The thing that I'm kind of banking on is that I can preserve the combination of Steelix and one of my ground immune Pokemon. So that way, if he locks himself into Earthquake, I can bring in one of those ground immune Pokemon. If he locks himself into Knockoff, I can bring in my Steelix. So even if he gets Moxie boosts, it's not really going to bother me. But yeah, this is definitely, like I said, the main Talonflame answer. It's also nice because it is a good way to bring in the Sylveon. So if he wants to switch in something that Sylveon can destroy, I'll go ahead and do that. What'll be really nice is if I can also get Rocks up and he's pivoting around, and I just keep on bringing in Sylveon and Baton Passing out into something like Tornadus or whatever. That damage is going to add up real quick. So next up, we do have a Life Orb Tornadus, Hurricane, Dark Pulse, Taunt, and U-Turn. We're running a Modest set this week because we only need to outspeed Celebi, so we do outspeed the Celebi by 1 point. Put the rest into special attack, put a lot into HP, or not a lot, just a lot of the leftovers, and then just 4 points in defense and Spadef each, just because we had the extra, and I wanted the odd HP number, and actually 159 is a Life Orb number. You take 15 points of recoil here. If you went up to 160, you take 16 points of recoil. But yeah, his only flying resist is the Doublade. And we have Dark Pulse to hit that really hard. Doublade gets 2 KO'd by Dark Pulse. I put Taunt on here. I did have Grass Knot originally just to hit the Suicune a little bit harder. But I think Taunt is just generally a little bit better because it can stop a Suicune from going for Calm Minds. It can stop a Sableye. Or, no, does it stop Sableye? I don't think it does. Crap, because it's got Magic Guard. I forgot about that. Or Magic Bounce. So I might change this later, but I still think it's generally pretty useful. You know, we can stop an Aromatisse from wishing and things like that. And I just don't really have a lot else that I need in this slot, as far as I'm aware. And then we have U-Turn, obviously, for the momentum. Hits the Celebi quad, super effective. And it just gives us more opportunities to bring in Sylveon and get kills, because that's what Sylveon's going to do this week. Next up, we have Steelix with a pretty normal moveset. Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Heavy Slam, Rock Slide, but a pretty funky looking EV spread. I actually am editing this after I recorded the video because I made some last minute changes here. So I decided to put a lot of speed investment into this thing because I want to outspeed a 0-speed Dragalge. If he's brought Dragalge, he has never put any speed EVs into it, so we do outspeed by 1 point. And then in addition to that, I want to be able to live a +2 Brave Bird from a Talonflame. Oh, sorry, not Brave Bird, +2 Flare Blitz from a Talonflame. So we've put enough defense EVs in there to do that, assuming that it's Adamant without any boosting item. He has not often brought something like Choice Band or Life Orb on his Talonflames. He's brought Natural Gift a lot. I think he's brought Sharp Beak a couple of times, but never Life Orb or Choice Band in this season. And so if we can live one, we could retaliate with a Rock Slide and take that thing out. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind the spread. It should still be able to take on Pokemon like Aromatisse pretty well. It should be able to take on Specs, Swellow with pretty much no problem. It should also be able to take on a physical Swellow pretty easily. Next we have Tentacruel Calamari with Rapid Spin, Scald, Acid Spray, Sludge Wave with Black Sludge, bringing a defensive set this week. I've been bringing speedy offensive Tentacruels the past several weeks, but I wanted this as an answer to Suicune. Even at +6, Suicune does like 44% max to a Tentacruel. So if we can just spam Acid Spray and then hit it up with a Sludge Wave, we should be in a good position there. That's really Tentacruel's only function this week, is to check Suicune, because I don't have another great answer to Suicune on my team. And it's fortunate that Sharpino doesn't seem to like Crocoon, but that doesn't mean he won't bring it. What he really likes is, well, I don't know. I can't remember if he's brought like Scald Ice Beam Rest Talk most weeks. He also likes to bring Chesto Berry instead of Leftovers. So that's nice for us, for sure. You know, this thing can probably take one hit from a Celebi. It can take one hit. It can actually take one hit from a Talonflame, which is pretty funny. If it's the set that I'm expecting, but the set that Sharpino's brought a lot is Natural Gift. So if he brings like a Natural Gift Ice to try and hit Salamence super effectively, you know, he doesn't get a Choice Band boost or a Sharp Beak boost from that. But if he brings like Roost, U-Turn, or if he brings Swords Dance, it's definitely going to be a different story. Don't get me wrong. Then last but not least, we have a brand new member of our team, Cassius, short for Cassius Clay, with a Bulk Up set, Bulk Up, Drain Punch. Actually, this is Poison Jab and Rest, with the Shed Skin ability to hopefully wake up from a rest more quickly. Fully Spadef. This Scrafty is going to be really good, I think, because it can set up on Sableye, it can set up on some Celebi sets, it can set up on, what do you call it, set up on Doublade, potentially, if it's like a non-offensive Doublade. If it's offensive with Sacred Sword, it's definitely a different story. It can set up on, we can look at the team, I don't have to guess. It can set up on Uxie, so yeah, I'm basically targeting the Sableye and the Uxie, and maybe the Celebi and maybe the Doublade. And like a -2 Dragalge we can potentially set up on as well. And once this thing gets set up, he doesn't have anything that can deal with it. Maybe like a Colbur Berry Celebi that's packing Dazzling Gleam can take us on. But, you know, that's kind of a niche set. Talonflame is definitely a threat, but once we get like 2 boosts, it's not going to do a whole lot of damage. Let me calc that too. I'm sorry that I'm doing all these off screen, but it's just easier this way. Let's do Talonflame, and let's say no item. Sorry, and he likes Adamant. So if we are at like +2, Brave Bird is not a 2-hit KO after Leftovers Recovery. In fact, it's a guaranteed 3-hit KO. So if we're at full HP and we have our Leftovers, he actually can't kill us if we're at +2. And we do 58% with Knockoff. So we'll have to be careful. Like, if we can get up rocks, we'll be in a much better position, because then we can click Knockoff and kill him and let him go for the offensive move. So yeah, this is, I don't know if it's going to catch him by surprise. I think this is a fairly common set on Scrafty, but I think it can do really well. I'm just really excited because it takes advantage of Sableye. And in case he doesn't bring Sableye, which matches up poorly against my team, as I've pointed out, we can still set up on a few other things. He might bring Sableye anyway, just because it does take on things like Reuniclus pretty well. It can burn a Mega Steelix, it can block rocks from Mega Steelix, and things like that. So that is going to be the team, you guys. So that's going to do it for me. Make sure you check out Sharpino's channel, because he's a cool guy and does a lot of really great content, has a lot of really good Let's Plays on his channel, and he's just a generally nice guy from down under. So all the more reason to go check him out. And make sure you sub to my channel, and you can keep up to date on all of my greatest content, latest and greatest. And until the next time, I will see you guys later.